you're in control and you get to decide what you should be. And the only way you can know that is when you experience stuff, when you go through things, when you actually live life and not just exist, right? You don't want to just exist. You want to live life. You want to be the best version of you that you can be.
That's actually time. Otherwise, how you been?
Fantastic. Other than the exam stress, fantastic. Yeah. Life is good.
You know, I've seen people doing ridiculous things with this on this season of exams. Like ladies were cutting off their hair, like their huge hair, they're taking it down. Niggas that have had like afro for such a long time,
Cutting their hair.
Took it down as well.
Oh no.
They're like, it's sort of a ritual thing. I don't know if it's like it makes them feel better, think very well, you know. I've seen very crazy things. What do you do?
Yeah,
do you pray a lot during these times?
Not any different to how I usually pray.
Oh yeah.
I feel like the switch up is unnecessary. You know how people just change all of a sudden? Like, okay, it's exam season now, we need to be different people.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with like the New Year's resolutions and whatnot. It's unnecessary, honestly. I think.
Yo, you know, I never stick to those. Every time when I say I do New Year.
Exactly.
I never stick to
Exactly. It never works out, and even with the prayer, why it's if you think of God like even as an ordinary person, imagine it's good times, I don't acknowledge you, I'm not talking to you as much as I used to, and then now all of a sudden, now that I'm going through a tough time, now that I need, let's say for instance, your money, now that I need your help with something, now I want to come and talk to you.
It doesn't make sense.
You feel used. Even God would feel that. In fact, God does feel that. So it's unnecessary. It's unnecessary behavior.
But I feel like we're now living in times where we detach ourselves from these beliefs. Like there's this chaotic drift on people's beliefs. Like they start questioning, is this like something worth to believe? What I've been believing, man, you know, so, like when people are talking about ancestors like never before.
Yeah.
Questions around church, God, like they are flowing on like never before.
Yeah. That's how it is. There's a bad part to that, which is when you overthink everything and then you forget the questioning everything. It's always good to question things, but once you forget the part where you question and then you find answers, that's what makes the difference. Because even with the movie of The Matrix, it's like people believe in something so much, but they don't know why they believe in it. And then when they start thinking about, okay, what's the actual reason? Like, why do I believe in this?
Yeah.
They don't have the answers. And instead of trying to go look for the answers or just finding help to get answers so that they can actually know, okay, I believe in this because of 1, 2, 3, or I don't believe in this anymore because of 1, 2, 3. They just go, okay, I don't know I believe in this, so I'm not going to believe in it anymore.
Yeah.
And then they just change. Like there's no substance. There's no depth to the choice. It's just, you're just moving with the wind.
By the way, first time I heard about The Matrix. Okay, I watched The Matrix as a very young child, but it was not much of a finding sense out of it, but it was just like a fascinating
Yeah.
seeing people running that way.
Yeah.
So that was the whole fascination. But last year, which was 2022,
Yes.
I think I watched it the whole week, and I've been watching one movie, trying to understand, and that's when like Mafias made sense, and I went deep and trying to understand what's really happening, and later on I heard that it's actually a documentary.
Exactly.
Yeah. What do you think of that?
I mean, I couldn't agree more. It's the same experience that I had myself. The first time I watched it, it was just, the cool action movie that everyone seems to have watched, and it's like, okay, wow, they can run like that,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then when you think of it, immediately after, you don't think too much of it because it's like, I mean, how could we possibly be plugged into a little bowl of fluids and they draining our energies for machines, the machines that we don't even see in this day and age? It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
But then it's not necessarily about like what you see. It's about what like you said, what Morpheus says and what you hear, and then not only just taking that as it is in the literal sense, but then also like applying it to the world that you see today, and if there are any like similarities in what he says or what you hear or what they do, what they're fighting for and stuff like that. And so after you watch it for a while, you realize that, okay, no, listen, there is really a very large contingent of people that just follow the norms, follow they don't know why this is popular, they don't know why they like these things, but everyone just seems to like these things. Everyone just seems to follow the norms. You ask them why, I don't know. It's as if they are programmed, and then you think about it. Why do people act this programmed? And then you watch it again, and then you say, okay, cool. It's not necessarily them. It's just what's been fed to them, and they can't free themselves and all that. And it just comes from the power of the mind. Like I heard this one thing from another controversial topic. You know Andrew Tate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He sound to be very influential. Like
Yeah.
it is said. Yeah.
He mentioned this one time before the whole arrest and everything, when he was still popular just because of his videos. He would mention how literally the only thing that you can control in life is your mind. That's the only thing you have control over. Like actually, that's the only thing you have control. Because essentially, your mind controls your body, and you have somewhat control of your body. But you can't really choose, like, what happens in life. You can't choose who stays with you, who's your friend, who's not. You can't even choose when your heart beats or not, or when it can stop. You don't even control that. It just happens by itself. So the only thing that you can really control is your mind and how you think and stuff like that. And so when you look at that, if that's the only thing that you can control, and that's what the matrix in quotation marks is taking away from us, the ability to use the only power that we have to save us, it just makes sense. It makes sense.
How do you understand the matrix? Like what is it? How do you explain that to someone based on like your sum up understanding on the whole explanation or the whole documentary of it? In simple terms, how do you explain it to yourself? Like this is what it is and stuff.
The Matrix, simply to put it in simple terms, I guess the Matrix is just it's a prison, but that's painted as a beautiful mansion. And it's a prison, but it's painted as a beautiful mansion, and you see the painting, and you believe the painting, and you live your life thinking you're a billionaire, multi-millionaire living in a mansion, but you're a prisoner, and they're using you to make the prison even bigger and even better. And as you waste away and work hard thinking that you building your mansion, you're just giving the prison, I guess, more resources, more power, and then that's what ends up giving the impression of your mansion is getting better or getting bigger or whatnot, when in actual fact it's just the prison that's getting better.
I like that fascinates me, and the thing that I want to understand, like people that are not living in the matrix, or they are aware of it, they are aware of this prison that is portrayed as mansion. Oftentimes they would try to unplug people from it, that look, there's life out of this is how you can be and stuff. Is it necessary, or one can just live in that prison? Is it necessary to always like take out people or to convince people to go out? Because I mean it's all they know, right?
Yeah. To be quite honest, I think the issue here is not necessarily being in the prison, right? It's not a problem. The problem is playing a loser's game. That's the problem. Life is basically like almost like a competition, especially for men out there. And if you live in a world where it's as competitive as it is, and you playing a losing game but you don't even know it, you can never stand a chance to win, because you don't know what you're doing. You don't know the game that you're playing. So basically, the point of unplugging is not necessarily trying to get people out.
Oh yeah.
It's trying to make them see that, listen, it's not a mansion, it's a prison, right? And this is a painting, but you don't necessarily want to. It's not like you can leave the prison. You just want to make the best out of the situation that's dealt or that's given to you, right? You make the best move on the chessboard based on what's placed in front of you. You can't change the fact that that's how life is. You can't change how history has worked and how we've gotten to the point that we are. But you can optimize and maximize the opportunity that's given in front of you. And when you understand the game and you understand that, okay, listen, I may have started off at a disadvantage, but you have the power to change that. You're the only person that can fix it for yourself, but you're also the only person that can really mess it up for yourself.
Oh yeah. So what you mean is that knowing that information somehow unlock your potential.
Exactly. Knowledge is power, and the more powerful you become, the more influential you become. And we all know that the best or the biggest people in the real world that we live in are the most influential people. If you have influence, if you have status, you can do a lot. And you need to understand the game to be able to get status if it's not given to you from the onset. It's like the entrepreneurs. They have crazy dreams of selling, making money, right?
Yeah.
And when you try and explain it to everyone else, obviously that the other people are going to be like, oh, you're wasting this, you're wasting that. They don't necessarily see what you see. There's an element of being crazy in everything. That basically, that's the definition of crazy, being able to see something that nobody else sees, right? But then isn't that also the same definition as faith?
I get it.
So there's an element of craziness in that, but when you take that leap of faith and you acquire the knowledge that you can, then you actually produce results. It's not necessarily just getting all the information, but you get the information, you put in the work, you produce results, and then people see the results. They can't argue with you because facts are facts, and numbers don't lie. You started from the bottom and now you're there. Obviously, you started at the disadvantage and you made it. So if you can do it with the same amount of drive, with the same amount of work, if they put it in, then they can make it as well. I feel like that's just what the unpluggers, the people that want to unplug, that's all they want to do. They're just trying to help. They're trying to make everyone else be better, because everyone has the potential of being better. And even if you want to not look at it just from a realistic point of view, but if you want to go spiritual, and if you want to think about it in the sense of like dying and going to heaven and then judgment day and you go to God.
Yeah.
If you think about it, God isn't going to judge you based on what you did. God is going to judge you based on the things that you could have achieved against the person that you should have been, right? That's why they say it's you versus you. It's the person that you could have been versus the person that you are. And how far are you from the person that you could have been? So if you go there and, okay, you just normal life, but then God has this portfolio of you and he says, multimillionaire, savior of people, motivational speaker, this and that. And then you go to God and say, that's not me. Or he's going to go, no, that's what you should have been. That's what you could have been. I gave you the opportunities, I gave you the life, and you had the choice to play the cards right, but you didn't. Right? It's just how it is.
And because I only watched the first part of the Matrix, like the one, I think it's the first one.
Yeah.
The one with Neo, Trinity,
Yes.
Mafias, like the very first one.
Okay.
So how it affected me, which is something that I want you to also share with me. How did the whole discovery of it affect you personally? Not just like like your mindset, how you perceive things and make sense of them. There's a part where I think I think it was the first process when Neo was getting unplugged.
Right.
And Mafias asked Neo, do you believe what did he say? Do you believe in fate? I think that was the question.
Yeah.
And Neo was like, I forgot his answer, but eventually he said something like, I don't like the fact that I'm not in control.
Yes.
You still remember the part? And afterwards, this guy, he offers them a red pill and a blue pill. And Neo choose the one that, of course, would expose him to the information about the Matrix and stuff.
Yeah.
So after that's been a question in my mind that was like it's been voicing over and over that what's happening, like, do we have destination waiting for us, or we create our destination? Do you understand? Yeah, that's how it affected me. And right now I'm at a point where I'm very curious for the answer. And you hear people, there's a guy called Jim Rohn. He put it very simple. He's like, look, what you want is seconds, is hours away. You look at how you work on your hours and how you work on your day.
Exactly.
You know, if you get in there or not.
Yeah.
I'm like, if that's the case, it means I can then create my tomorrow.
Exactly.
You understand?
Exactly.
So, but I'm still like, because that movie hit so much on the belief system of the individual.
Yeah.
How did it affect you?
I mean, for me personally, it just other than the whole mindset and everything, it changed my belief system, honestly, because in the before I watched it, obviously there was a sense of belief that I had of, okay, I don't have much control over things that happen in my life. You know, there's people that make the choices for me. You know, there's, like, let's say for instance, you're in South Africa, there's the president who makes the choices for you, there's the ministers, and all you have to do is just comply, right? You comply and you become the best, I guess, slave that you can be. And that's how it was beforehand. But then after watching the movie, and then you realize that, okay, no, listen, if this is genuinely how the world works, it's upsetting. It's a bit upsetting. It just pisses you off, because you think, okay, all I've been doing all this time is complying, and that's what ends up being, okay, this is your destiny, and you have to become this, and you comply to what other people tell you to become, right? And it's a thing of, okay, now after this movie, you get to realize that, no, you're in control, and you get to decide what you should be. And the only way you can know that is when you experience stuff, when you go through things, when you actually live life and not just exist, right? You don't want to just exist. You want to live life. You want to be the best version of you that you can be. And the best version of you is your destiny. That's always how it is. But then what differs from person to person is who the best version of yourself is. It's a competition. It's a constant competition between you and the best version of yourself. And even with fitness people, I've seen this all over social media. People are like, the thing that keeps me going, the thing that keeps me disciplined, is the fact that I know that there's the best version of me. When I don't feel like going to the gym, he's at the gym.
Okay.
And the moment I don't go to the gym, I've lost the me versus me battle. Right?
Oh yeah.
The moment I give up, I lose to my potential. I've lost.
Flip, man.
The moment you switch off, the moment you lack, it's like, not today, I'm not feeling it. It's just one day, I'm still fit. You've lost. You've lost your potential. And I like what you said with the how you spend your hours is basically what determines your destiny, and because it's very true. It's the little things that you do. When you add up the little things, it adds up, and it becomes so big that it can even surpass what the big goal was initially. Even with this, there's a great example that people use. It's, would you rather take $1 million straight in cash, right? That's the dream. Or would you have a penny that doubles every single day?
For sure. I hear you.
Obviously, it starts off with a penny. A penny is nothing. Day one versus the $1 million. It's nothing. It's a penny against $1 million. But the fact that it doubles every single day is a big factor, right? Because $1 million just stays $1 million. It's not changing. Yes, it's not decreasing, but it's also not increasing. It's not multiplying. Nothing's happening. But the penny is working on itself every single day. It's doubling itself every single day. It's beating the person that it was yesterday, right?
Oh yeah.
It's going to the best version of itself that it could be, and all it does is just the small little steps of just doubling every day, doing better than what it did yesterday. And at the end of it, when you get to day 30 and you look back, yes, you were just doing little things. All you did was double, but the doubles compounded, and then your rise is just exponential. And now you even surpass the $1 million, because now a penny doubled over 30 days, I think, becomes more than $1 million. That's just the game, right? That's the goal. It's even with video games, right? A video game, when you start a video game, the character that you choose is not already Superman. You don't already have the houses, you don't already have the cars, you don't already have the money, right? You have to build that up. You have to play the game, you have to acquire the things that you acquire, and then you become the character that you are, and then you become the boss of the game, and you say, well, yeah, okay, I'm the best, I can play this the best, and that's the game of life. That's life in and of itself. You start at the bottom, especially as a man. You start at the bottom, but the beautiful thing about being a man is that you can build yourself up. You can build your character up, and all you need to do is just put in the hours. It doesn't even have to be 24 hours every single day. It can even be just 4 hours, as long as it's every single day. If you put in 4 hours every single day versus someone who put 24 hours just once, the amount of time that you have, the leverage that you have over them over time is insane. Because they started, yes, it was 24 hours, but they stayed where they started, and you built up. And that's what value is, right? Added value is going beyond where you started.
Love that, man.
It's the beautiful game of life, and that's what people are missing out on. You know, people are just accepting their situation. People are just, you know, not believing in the potential of themselves, because they are told that there's, you know, why believe in potential when you can believe in facts, when you can believe in this is how the world works for everyone. Live your mediocre life, your ordinary life. Just be this, comply. If you comply, you guaranteed this. Yeah, it's a bit of a leap of faith, but I mean, if you put in the work and you believe in yourself like that, you can go far. Far, very far.
So yesterday I was cutting this lady, and she's so open-minded, and I think she's still young, and I'm like, what got into you so much? Like, it's my parents, like they're in different spaces, and like seeing from them, looking up to them has actually made me so open-minded about things and want to know more about things. And she's like, I think being raised by your parents is actually ideal than being raised by the media.
Exactly.
And then she alluded to Andrew Tate.
Yeah.
You just mentioned that.
Yeah.
Right? What do you think about him? And she asked me, what I think about him. Like, you hear, like, there are so many concepts that has been attached to him, that he's a misogynist and all that, he's a narcissist, all those concepts. What do you personally think about him?
I mean, I love him. I love him because I understand the message. I understand what he's trying to say. I understand what he's trying to do, and it's if people actually go beyond the surface and listen, right? It's a beautiful message, and he's just trying to help people. Listen, obviously, to be as big as he was in the internet, you don't become that big by saying you can be the best version of yourself, right? Who's the most famous person that you know that just tells people all day, every day, you can be the best version of yourself, especially young men. You have to become famous enough, get the attention, and then use the attention wisely. I think that's what he's done. Maybe everyone doesn't agree with the method that he became famous with, right? The so-called misogynistic comments against women. But I mean, if you listen to what he says, he preaches everything in order to protect women. He tells young men, listen, you should be the best version of yourself. You should work hard. You should make money so that you can be able to protect and provide for your family. And your wife, your mother, your sisters shouldn't have to go into the system, work hard, and lose their sanity, right? Lose who they are just because that's how the world works. When you can just be the provider for them, be the head of the family, take charge, and be the man and do what you need to do. And I think it's a beautiful message. If he preaches wonderful things. I mean, go to the gym, be the best version of yourself. Obviously, strong body, strong mind. It's even been scientifically proven that if you exercise, naturally your mental capacity increases. Even with children, they say that children that do sport whilst they're in school, their academic performance is much better than what it could have been if they were just in school and not doing sport.
Do you remove this?
Your choice.
Okay.
So I mean, it's just the phrase speaks for itself. Strong body, strong mind, and the only way you can conquer the world is with a strong mind, right? But it starts with the body, and he preaches that it's unacceptable to be not in the best shape that you could be, because then if you're not in the best shape that you could be physically, you're not in the best shape that you could be mentally. And how do you go into something that you need to be your best at to try and win? You want to win at the game of life, and the best thing you can do is prepare yourself for the battle the best way you can. You're not going to go in, even with exams, studying for exams, you don't just study 40% of the content and go, okay, I'm going for that 40%, that's it. No, you study all of the content, you prepare the best that you can, and then when it's time for the exam, that's when, okay, maybe you did your best, but your best was a 60%, maybe you did your best and the best that you did could have been an 80%, right? But the preparation was you putting in all of the work, you learning all of the content, you gaining all that knowledge, and that's what he says, that's what he preaches. And it's really, it makes no sense the grounds that he was cancelled by on social media, and it also makes no sense why he was arrested. I mean, we still don't have a clear reason why he was arrested. He was arrested on no charges whatsoever.
Where
No
do you
charges.
think that the public misunderstanding is coming from then? Like, what is it that they understand? Because I don't know who I was having conversation with. I'm like, the other thing that separate us as human beings is how we perceive things.
Right.
Of course, the psychology of that leads into like the mindset and like how people were raised.
Yeah.
Like they like genetical inheritance or something like that. I'm like, people can listen to one thing, but argue about that one thing because they perceive it differently.
Exactly.
Or they have different understanding. What is it that you think people misunderstood? And I think mostly it's females. What is it that they understand him to have said?
I mean, from the point of majority of the females, I think they misunderstand his concept of men trying to do the best that they can in order for them to do less work, right, in the real world and slave away. I think they mistaken that for men should do the best that they can in order to beat women or eliminate women from, the market area, let's say, from the workplaces. And the number one misconception that women, especially the feminist movement, the number one misconception that they have is they trying to fight, obviously, for equal rights, right? But they fight for equal rights in the beneficial places, in the top 1%. They want to get paid as much as the CEOs, but why don't they fight that they want to get equal chances to go to war?
Yeah.
Why don't they fight for equal chances to work in the mines? Why don't they fight for equal chances to build the roads and go into construction and all that? Why don't they fight for that? But they fight for equal opportunity to all be able to be CEOs and basically be the top men that the world perceives men to be, right? And that's not all men. In fact, the reality of it is 80 to 90% of men are just ordinary guys who do ordinary jobs that the women wouldn't even want to do themselves. 90% of men are not even acknowledged in the world that we live in today, and they fighting a wrong battle, in my opinion. They're fighting a battle that doesn't apply to them. It doesn't need to apply to them. They're fighting something that's non-existent. It really isn't, because if you look at the CEOs, they are CEOs either because they founded or they started the company and they worked and they got the people that built the company up to get to the point where the company is, right? Or but either way, there's an element of results, right? It's not an element of, okay, he was a man, we'll give him all this and this is how life works. It's results. The person produced results, and that's just how it is.
I see, man.
Yes, sir.
We're done here. And thank you, man, for joining me on
Thank
this.
you for having me.
Thank you. I learned a lot. And I wanted to ask, you said one of your parents or your parents are teachers?
Both of my parents are teachers.
There's something about like children that are raised by teachers. They seem to be so special, man. That's the last question. What makes them special? Because like the likes of Kanye West, the likes of Noncha, like many people that I know, even like my friend in the circle that I have this guy, he's not arrogant, but he's having this hyper, confidence in himself.
Exactly.
So what makes that, like, are you guys raised differently? What is it exactly that is that it goes on your growth process?
I mean, I can't speak for other people, firstly, for sure. So I can only speak for myself and how I was raised by my parents. You mentioned earlier on that girl who's very open-minded, and she said that majority of that came from, the parents. It's the same with me, especially with my dad and how my dad raised me up. I love my mom and my dad equally, right? But I need to understand that they have different roles in my life, and I think that's something that my dad and my mom outlined very clearly. But with my dad, majority of my influence comes from my dad and what he would teach me and stuff like that. And my dad would always tell me that you have the potential of being great. Everyone has the potential of being great. There's nothing that's stopping anyone. What matters is how you do it, right? That's basically the end of it. Man City on paper is a better team than Inter Milan, right? Yeah. But what makes the difference is them scoring those goals. It's not them having Erling Haaland and just being known as the better team. They've got to score the goals at the end of the day. And I think that's what teachers in general believe in. They know the value of hard work. They've seen it in kids, especially the kids that save themselves from, let's say, potential failures. They've seen it in kids that started off at the top and then became comfortable, became lazy, and they end up not doing so well when it matters. I guess they just have the best experiences in seeing how the value of hard work and the value of just hard work in and of itself and how it pays off. They've seen it and they've seen the different outcomes in it. And I guess when it comes to their own, where you personally attached, right, where you have a sense of, a sense of obligation to teach the best way possible, you teach them that the world is bigger than what you think it is, and it can always be bigger than what you think it is. You should always be willing to learn, because you can never know enough. You live and you learn every single day. If you want to take that information, it's a choice as well. And it's a choice that you need to make for yourself. It's not a choice that you need to make for your parents. It's not a choice that you need to make to impress other people. It's a choice that you need to make for yourself. And if you look at all the big people, where the results matter, they did it for themselves, and then eventually everything else followed. Even in the Bible, there's a verse in the Bible, I can't quote it exactly, but it says, seek first the kingdom of God and the rest shall follow.
Yeah.
So basically, if you apply that in the real world, it's focus on yourself, be the best version of yourself, and everything else will follow. The benefits of being, let's say for instance, if you focus on financial wealth, the benefits of being financially great will follow when you work on yourself, when you work on your ability to create wealth. If you want to be able to speak more fluently and read and have more knowledge, you work on yourself and you read, and the benefits of being a person with great knowledge, which is essentially power and influence and status, that comes with you having put in the work of reading, of teaching yourself. And yeah, that's just how it is. If you focus on yourself and, like I said, you put in the work doubles, you do better than how you were every single day, the result of it is great, it's best.
Yeah.
Then yeah, the world is a giving place. God is genuinely giving, and I'm yet to see, and I think my parents are also yet to see, a person that truly put in all the hard work, put in all their time and all their effort into something and failed. It never happens.
You think if you put all of that, you wouldn't go wrong?
It's impossible.
I get it, man.
You can't go wrong. If it goes wrong, you were either lazy, you were either arrogant. You were just.
I get it.
You didn't want it bad enough. If you truly want it bad enough, and you're willing to do what it takes to get there, you'll do what it takes to get there. And usually, what it takes to get there is not fun. It's not for everyone. That's why everyone doesn't get there. But when you get there, and it's worth it, you're going to realize that it was the hard work that essentially paid off. Ronaldo, one of the best players in the world, he says the best thing, the thing that made him become the player that he is the hard work. It's not necessarily that he was born being able to dribble a ball and score all those goals, but he worked on himself. He put in those hours when no one was watching, when people were watching, and eventually when people watch him in the game and he scores all those goals and becomes the top scorer in the world, all the hard work pays off. He worked on himself, and now everybody is recognizing his hard work because that's just results. Everybody appreciates the results. And if you put in the work, which produces the results, you become the best version of you that you can be. You become great. It's inevitable. It's as clear as maths. Yeah. If you wanted life maths, that's just how it is.
I like that, man. And I'm gonna put, of course, some of the advice that you link on my life, practically. Thanks anyway. What do you wanna say to my audience?
Thank you very much for your time. Thank you for watching.
And what's your name, bro?
My actual name is Shally Koza. Tonga Crown Prince, but you can call me Shally. Yeah.
Oh, good, man.
Yeah.
Thanks so much,
Thank
bro.
you.
All right. Have to go to